Texas and California are often spoken about in the same breath. Yet living in these two states can feel like stepping into entirely different worlds. One is known for wide-open ranches, sprawling suburbs, and a culture rooted in independence, while the other is defined by dense cities, towering skyscrapers, and fast-paced urban life. But beyond the stereotypes, what is daily life really like in Texas compared to California? And why do so many people move between these two states every year? Understanding this contrast reveals far more than geography. It exposes two distinct ways of living, working, and thinking in modern America. One of the most striking differences begins with space. Texas is vast, open, and spread out, with cities that grow horizontally rather than vertically. Homes are often larger, roads are wider, and personal space is a defining feature of everyday life. California, on the other hand, especially in its major metropolitan areas, is built upward. Skyscrapers dominate skylines. Housing density is higher, and efficient use of limited land has shaped how people live. This contrast alone influences everything from housing styles to commuting habits and even social interactions. Another key difference lies in how each state developed economically. Texas grew through agriculture, ranching, oil, and later technology and logistics, which encouraged expansion and lower-density living. California's growth was driven by ports, entertainment, innovation, and global trade, concentrating jobs and opportunities in major urban centers. These economic foundations continue to shape lifestyles today. In Texas, economic activity is often spread across multiple cities and regions, while California's economy is heavily concentrated in hubs like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Silicon Valley. Cost of living is often the first topic people mention when comparing Texas and California. But the reality is more complex than just price tags. Texas generally offers lower housing costs, lower taxes, and more affordable daily expenses, especially outside major cities. California, by contrast, has some of the highest housing costs in the country, driven by limited supply, strict zoning laws, and high demand. However, higher costs in California are often paired with higher wages in certain industries, particularly technology, entertainment, and specialized services. This creates a trade-off that residents must constantly evaluate. Lifestyle differences extend well beyond finances. In Texas, daily life tends to revolve around cars, single-family homes, and local communities. Long drives are common, but they are often paired with larger living spaces and quieter neighborhoods. California's major cities emphasize walkability, public transportation, and mixed-use neighborhoods where work, dining, and entertainment exist close together. This creates a faster-paced environment that appeals to some and overwhelms others. Neither approach is inherently better, but each caters to different personal priorities. Work culture also varies significantly between the two states. Texas is often associated with traditional corporate structures, energy industries, manufacturing, and a growing tech presence. California, meanwhile, is known for innovation-driven industries, startups, creative fields, and global influence. Remote work has begun to blur these lines, allowing people to enjoy Texas affordability while working for California-based companies. This shift has fueled migration trends and reshaped housing markets in both states. Cultural identity plays a subtle yet powerful role in shaping everyday experiences. Texas culture emphasizes independence, self-reliance, and community pride, often expressed through local traditions, sports, and regional customs. California culture is more fragmented, reflecting its diversity, with influences from across the globe shaping food, language, and social norms. This diversity creates vibrant cultural environments, but can also feel less unified compared to Texas's strong statewide identity. Climate further reinforces lifestyle differences. Texas experiences extreme heat, sudden weather changes, and vast climate variation depending on region. California offers a more stable climate overall, particularly along the coast, though it also faces challenges like droughts and wildfires. Weather influences everything from outdoor activities to infrastructure planning, energy use, and long-term living decisions. Ultimately, the contrast between ranches and skyscrapers is not just visual. It represents two fundamentally different approaches to life. Texas prioritizes space, affordability, and expansion, while California emphasizes density, innovation, and global connectivity. As migration continues between these states, the differences become even more important to understand. Choosing between Texas and California is less about which is better and more about which lifestyle aligns with personal values, career goals, and long-term plans. Daily life in Texas and California may appear similar on the surface. Work, family, errands, and routines, but the experience of moving through each day feels noticeably different once you live there. One of the first things people notice is how much housing shapes everyday behavior. In Texas, residential life is centered around space and separation. Neighborhoods are spread out, homes are often single-family houses, and having a yard, driveway, and garage is considered normal rather than a luxury. This physical layout creates a slower, more private daily rhythm that many residents value. California's neighborhoods, especially in major metro areas, tell a different story. Housing density is much higher, with apartments, condos, and mixed-use buildings forming the backbone of urban living. Space is used efficiently, and neighbors often live closer together, both physically and socially. This proximity encourages a more interconnected lifestyle, where daily errands, dining, and entertainment are woven into the same geographic area. For some, this feels energizing and convenient. For others, it can feel crowded and overwhelming. Housing styles also reflect deeper cultural priorities. Texas homes tend to emphasize size, comfort, and functionality. Open floor plans, larger kitchens, and multiple bedrooms are common, even for middle-income households. New developments often expand outward, creating suburban communities with schools, parks, and shopping centers designed around car travel. In contrast, California housing often prioritizes location over size. Smaller living spaces are accepted as the trade-off for proximity to jobs, cultural centers, and desirable neighborhoods. Commuting habits further highlight these differences. In Texas, long commutes are common, but they usually happen on highways designed to move large volumes of traffic efficiently. Driving is an integral part of daily life, and cities are built with cars in mind. Public transportation exists, but plays a secondary role in most regions. California's urban centers, particularly in Los Angeles and the Bay Area, face some of the most congested traffic in the country. As a result, public transit, ride-sharing, and alternative transportation methods are more widely used, though not always perfectly efficient. Neighborhood culture also varies significantly. Texas neighborhoods often foster a strong sense of local identity. Residents may know their neighbors well, participate in community events, and take pride in shared traditions. Homeownership plays a large role in this stability, as people tend to stay in the same area longer. In California, especially in high-cost cities, neighborhoods can feel more transient. Renters move frequently due to rising costs or job changes, creating a dynamic but less permanent community structure. Daily expenses beyond housing also shape everyday routines. In Texas, groceries, gas, utilities, and dining out are generally more affordable, which allows residents greater flexibility in discretionary spending. California's higher costs mean people often make strategic choices about where they live, what they spend, and how they allocate their time. Dining out, entertainment, and even parking can require careful budgeting, particularly in urban areas. Lifestyle pacing is another noticeable difference. Texas life often feels more relaxed and predictable, particularly outside major cities like Austin or Dallas. Errands take longer due to distance, but the pace itself feels less rushed. California's urban life moves faster, driven by dense populations, competitive job markets, and constant activity. This pace appeals to people who thrive on energy and opportunity, but can be exhausting for those seeking quiet and routine. Family life is influenced by these environmental factors as well. Texas offers more space for families to grow, with larger homes and school districts designed around suburban living. California families often adapt to smaller spaces, prioritizing access to quality schools, cultural exposure, and career opportunities. Both approaches have advantages depending on family size, income level, and long-term goals. Safety perceptions also play a role in daily comfort. Texas suburbs often feel quieter and less crowded, contributing to a sense of security for residents. California cities vary widely, with some neighborhoods feeling vibrant and safe, while others face challenges related to density and infrastructure strain. These perceptions influence where people choose to live, commute, and spend their time. Ultimately, daily life in Texas and California reflects two different philosophies of living. Texas emphasizes space, affordability, and stability, creating a lifestyle that feels grounded and predictable. California emphasizes access, opportunity, and density, creating a lifestyle that feels dynamic and interconnected. Understanding these differences helps explain why people are drawn to one state over the other, and why moving between them can feel like a complete lifestyle reset rather than just a change of address. Work is one of the biggest reasons people choose between Texas and California, and the differences go far beyond job titles or salaries. These two states operate under distinct economic philosophies that shape not only where people work, but how they think about success, stability, and long-term growth. Understanding work culture in Texas versus California helps explain why career-driven migration between the two continues to rise year after year. Texas is often associated with traditional industries such as energy, manufacturing, logistics, and construction, but its economy has diversified significantly in recent decades. Major cities like Austin, Dallas, and Houston now host growing technology sectors, finance hubs, and healthcare industries. What sets Texas apart is how business-friendly policies encourage expansion. Lower taxes, fewer regulations, and affordable commercial real estate attract companies looking to scale quickly. This environment creates steady job growth and appeals to professionals seeking long-term stability. California's economy, by contrast, is driven by innovation, creativity, and global influence. Industries such as technology, entertainment, biotechnology, and international trade dominate the landscape. Silicon Valley alone has reshaped how the world works, while Hollywood continues to influence global media. Careers in California often come with higher salaries, particularly in specialized fields, but they also demand intense competition, longer hours, and constant skill development. For many professionals, California represents opportunity at its highest level, but also pressure at its strongest. Work culture in Texas tends to emphasize structure, predictability, and work-life balance, especially outside major urban centers. Office environments are often more traditional, with clear hierarchies and defined roles. Many employees value consistency and loyalty, staying with companies for extended periods. Remote work has blended some of these norms, but Texas still attracts workers who prefer stability over constant disruption. California's work culture is faster-paced and more fluid. Job hopping is common, startups rise and fall quickly, and adaptability is considered a core skill. Networking plays a major role in career advancement, and professional success often depends on who you know as much as what you know. This culture rewards innovation and risk-taking, but can feel exhausting for those who prefer clear boundaries between work and personal life. Income potential is another major point of comparison. California generally offers higher wages, especially in technology, entertainment, and executive roles. However, those higher wages are often offset by steep living costs. Texas salaries may be lower on paper, but the purchasing power is frequently higher. A mid-level income in Texas can support homeownership, savings, and family life more comfortably than a higher salary in many parts of California. Entrepreneurship thrives in both states, but in different ways. Texas attracts small business owners due to lower startup costs and fewer regulatory hurdles. Restaurants, service businesses, and local enterprises can grow steadily without overwhelming expenses. California attracts entrepreneurs seeking scale, innovation, and global reach. Startups there often aim for rapid growth and external investment, which brings higher risk but potentially higher reward. Remote work has become a major factor reshaping both economies. Many professionals now live in Texas while working for California-based companies, blending affordability with high-income opportunities. This shift has driven housing demand in Texas cities and altered workplace expectations nationwide. At the same time, California companies are rethinking office space, hybrid models, and employee retention as geographic flexibility increases. Job security also feels different between the two states. Texas workers often experience more stable employment in established industries, while California workers may face volatility tied to market shifts, funding cycles, and innovation trends. Neither environment is inherently better, but each requires a different mindset. Texas rewards consistency and planning, while California rewards adaptability and resilience. Professional growth opportunities vary depending on industry. California offers unmatched exposure to cutting-edge projects, global networks, and career acceleration in specific fields. Texas offers broader access to leadership roles, less competition for advancement, and a clearer path to management in growing companies. These differences influence long-term career satisfaction as much as salary figures. Ultimately, choosing between Texas and California for work is about priorities. Texas appeals to those seeking balance, affordability, and steady growth. California attracts those driven by ambition, innovation, and global opportunity. Both states offer paths to success, but they demand different levels of risk, energy, and personal investment. Understanding these economic realities helps explain why careers often shape where people choose to build their lives. Beyond housing and work, the most noticeable contrast between Texas and California appears in everyday culture and lifestyle. These differences influence how people socialize, spend their free time, and define personal identity. While both states are large and diverse, the overall cultural rhythm of daily life feels distinctly different once you live there. Understanding these differences helps explain why people often feel deeply connected to one state while struggling to adapt to the other. Texas culture is often described as rooted, traditional, and community-oriented. Many towns and cities place strong emphasis on local identity, shared values, and regional pride. Social life frequently revolves around family gatherings, community events, school activities, and local traditions. There is a sense of familiarity in many Texas communities where people value long-term relationships and consistency. This can feel welcoming to newcomers who appreciate structure and stability, though it may take time to fully integrate into established social circles. California's cultural landscape is more fluid and constantly evolving. It is shaped by global influences, immigration, and innovation, resulting in a lifestyle that feels dynamic and ever-changing. Social groups often form around careers, interests, or creative pursuits rather than long-standing community ties. This environment encourages individuality and self-expression, offering freedom to reinvent oneself. But it can also feel fragmented or less grounded for those seeking deeper communal roots. Lifestyle choices are closely tied to geography and climate. Texas offers wide access to outdoor space, private recreation, and home-centered living. Barbecues, backyard gatherings, and local sports culture play a large role in social life. California's lifestyle is more outward-facing, particularly in coastal cities, where beaches, parks, cafes, and public spaces are central to daily routines. Outdoor activities are often integrated into urban living, from walking-friendly neighborhoods to social spaces built into city design. Climate significantly influences behavior in both states. Texas experiences extreme heat, unpredictable storms, and wide regional variation, which affects infrastructure and daily planning. Residents adapt by scheduling activities around weather conditions and spending more time indoors during peak heat. California's climate, especially along the coast, is more stable and mild, allowing for year-round outdoor activity. However, environmental challenges such as droughts and wildfires shape long-term lifestyle considerations and public policy discussions. Food culture further reflects these differences. Texas cuisine emphasizes comfort, tradition, and regional flavors, with strong influences from barbecue, Tex-Mex, and Southern cooking. Meals often serve as social anchors, bringing families and communities together. California's food scene is more diverse and experimental, reflecting global influences and health-conscious trends. Access to varied cuisines and dietary options is often seen as a lifestyle benefit, particularly in major cities. Social values and communication styles also differ. Texas culture often emphasizes politeness, directness, and respect for tradition. Conversations may feel more personal and relationship-driven. California communication styles vary widely depending on region, but urban areas often prioritize efficiency, innovation, and self-expression. This can create cultural misunderstandings for people moving between the two states, especially when expectations around social interaction differ. Entertainment and leisure habits highlight another contrast. Texas leisure time often centers on sports, outdoor recreation, and family activities. California offers a broader range of entertainment options tied to its urban density, including live performances, cultural events, and creative communities. Access to these experiences is often closer geographically, but may come with higher costs and competition. Political and social discussions are unavoidable factors shaping cultural environments. While Texas and California both contain diverse viewpoints, each state has developed distinct reputations that influence public perception and policy priorities. These broader social climates impact how residents engage with civic life, education, and long-term planning. For some, alignment with these values strengthens their connection to a state. For others, it becomes a motivating factor to relocate. Ultimately, culture and lifestyle differences between Texas and California go beyond stereotypes. Texas offers familiarity, tradition, and a slower social pace rooted in community. California offers diversity, innovation, and constant cultural evolution. Neither lifestyle is inherently superior, but each appeals to different personalities and life stages. Understanding these cultural dynamics helps explain why choosing between the two states often feels like choosing between two different versions of everyday life. Texas and California, quality of life becomes the defining factor that brings all other differences together. Beyond housing, work, and culture, people ultimately ask one question: where can I build a life that feels sustainable, fulfilling, and aligned with my long-term goals? The answer depends less on rankings or headlines and more on personal priorities shaped by lifestyle, career stage, and family needs. Texas often appeals to those seeking long-term stability and predictability. The lower cost of living allows residents to plan for the future with greater financial confidence. Homeownership feels more attainable, savings grow more steadily, and everyday expenses are easier to manage. This financial breathing room can reduce stress and support a sense of security, particularly for families, retirees, or individuals focused on long-term roots rather than rapid career acceleration. California, on the other hand, offers unmatched access to opportunity, culture, and global influence. For people driven by ambition, creativity, or specialized careers, California can provide experiences that are difficult to replicate elsewhere. The trade-off comes in the form of higher costs, competitive environments, and constant pressure to adapt. Quality of life in California often depends on income level, industry, and location, creating a more uneven experience across different populations. Healthcare, education, and infrastructure also shape long-term decisions. Both states offer strong healthcare systems and educational institutions, but access and affordability vary widely by region. Texas provides broader access to affordable suburban living near growing job markets, while California offers proximity to world-class universities, research centers, and specialized services. These factors influence not only individual choices, but also where families choose to settle permanently. Environmental considerations play an increasing role in long-term planning. Texas faces challenges related to extreme weather and infrastructure strain, while California contends with environmental risks such as droughts and wildfires. Residents in both states must adapt to these realities, influencing housing decisions, insurance costs, and long-term resilience planning. Awareness of these factors has become a crucial part of evaluating overall quality of life. Social fulfillment is another key element. Texas often provides deeper community integration over time, with long-term neighbors, shared traditions, and stable social networks. California offers broader social exposure, diverse connections, and cultural variety, but relationships may feel more fluid or temporary. These dynamics affect emotional well-being and personal satisfaction in subtle but important ways. Remote work continues to blur traditional boundaries, allowing people to enjoy the advantages of both states in new ways. Some choose to live in Texas while maintaining professional ties to California, combining affordability with high-level career opportunities. Others remain in California for access to creative industries while adjusting their lifestyles to manage costs. This flexibility has reshaped how quality of life is defined and measured. Ultimately, the choice between Texas and California is not about which state is better, but which environment supports the life someone wants to build. Texas offers space, affordability, and a grounded pace that supports long-term stability. California offers density, innovation, and cultural influence that fuel ambition and creativity. Both states reflect different visions of the American lifestyle, shaped by history, geography, and evolving economic realities. From ranches to skyscrapers, the contrast between Texas and California highlights the diversity of life within the United States. Understanding these differences allows people to make informed decisions, appreciate alternative lifestyles, and recognize that quality of life is deeply personal. Wherever someone chooses to live, the most important factor remains alignment between place and purpose.